Welcome back to the Cossy channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Someone asked me a question in the comment section. Can Arsenal sign both Benjamin Sesko and Viktor Gyokerez in the same summer? And that got me thinking, Arsenal really need to reinforce the attack and add a lot of goals to the team. And a couple of teams out there that we have seen having two world-class centre forwards at the same time. Manchester City have Erling Haaland and Omar Mamouche. You have Inter Milan, who have at the same time Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram. Obviously, at Atletico Madrid, you've got Julian Alvarez, who is such a very, very quality centre forward. And then they've got Alexander Soloth, who they got from Real Sociedad. And a couple of other teams as well have been working with two quality centre forwards. Over the years, we have seen it. It's something that has actually paid off. For Manchester United, Rooney and Berbatov at some point in time. And then, of course, with Manchester City, you had Gabriel Jesus and Julian Alvarez. Then Julian Alvarez and Erling Haaland. So Arsenal could as well have two quality centre forwards in the same team, and that would actually work. It is not something that is crazy. But thinking about Gyokerez and Sesko in the same summer, that's a little bit crazy. But can it happen? Under what conditions can that deal happen? And what conditions can actually blur such a deal? Now, the first thing I want to say is, whoever asked me that question, whatever you were thinking, you're a big Arsenal fan. Because one of our problems this season has been scoring goals. Although Mikel Arteta said injuries plus red cards plus this and that, I think there is a lack of freedom in this team. There's a lack of creativity in this team. But there's also that lack of top-class clinical finishing in this team. And you might sign a Viktor Gyokerez right now. He gets injured the way Timber got injured for the whole season. And then it's over. You might bring in a Benjamin Sesko and it doesn't work out. So bringing in two centre forwards would actually be the solution for me. And when I think about Sesko and Gyokerez, these are two players that are kind of different in terms of their profiles, and therefore they can play together. Sesko is a speed merchant with a very good frame and height. He's 6'4". That means that in terms of jumping in the air and just collecting crosses and making sure that we actually score goals from crosses from Saka and crosses from the likes of Ben White, he would be that guy for you. He's such a very big area threat, and it's a very, very quick player. You can actually play him on the wide attack of the team, and it would actually work out very well. When you think about Viktor Gyokerez, it's more like your, old school number 9. We are talking the likes of Aguero. We are talking the likes of Berbatov. We are talking the likes of, I don't know if Arsenal have really had that kind of a number 9, that kind of a number 9 that's just a poacher, but a poacher that really scores a lot of goals. Fernando Torres, Kun Aguero, Robert Lewandowski, you know the rest, right? So when you think about Gyokerez, he doesn't have the aerial presence a team would need, like Arsenal. We score a lot of goals from set pieces. We score a lot of goals from crosses. Gyokerez is not that player, honestly. And then he would really struggle when it comes to Arsenal because we don't have a lot of spaces to run in behind to, because we are literally parking the bus into the opposition's final third. So that means that you need a player like Sesko who can operate small spaces. But what is Arsenal's other problem? And here, two things can be true. Benjamin Sesko is a very good player for Arsenal right now because he would fit those small spaces that Arsenal are trying to create chances from. And then Viktor Gyokerez is an answer to Arsenal's other big problem. Transitions. Arsenal literally are one of the worst teams. I think I'm lying. Arsenal are the worst team in transition. We are so bad that Arsenal cannot, if you give 5 Arsenal players the ball against 2 defenders of any Sunday League team, Arsenal will not score that goal. I guarantee you. So what do Arsenal need? Arsenal need players that are very comfortable on the transition, and Viktor Gyokerez is that. If you watched him against Manchester City in the Champions League, that was a typical example of games that Viktor Gyokerez really thrives in. I mean, space to run in behind, they sit deep, and they allow him to sprint and run in behind. That is Viktor Gyokerez. So both of them, for me, would benefit Arsenal massively. And of course, Benjamin Sesko is this young player. He would have a lot to learn from Gyokerez. It would take some time for Sesko to become the level at which Gyokerez is on. But I think Arsenal wouldn't really mind. And that's the reason as to why Arteta is saying, let's go and sign Benjamin Sesko. It will give us some time for us to mold him into the player that we actually need. Now, imagine having Sesko, you're molding him across 3 or 4 years, and then you have Gyokerez, who is going to deliver right about now. So it's a very, very perfect world for me. It's a perfect scenario for both of them to be at Arsenal at the same time if Arsenal could do the deal. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it will happen. And these are my reasons. First and foremost, it's going to be very expensive. Honestly, it's going to be very expensive. We've talked about Arsenal's big budget this summer, about 200 million or 220 million. But that doesn't mean it is unlimited. It is limited. And when you think about 200 million these days in the transfer window, you're like, okay, we have 200 million. We could go and do whatever we can. No, you can't. Actually, 200 million means signing 4 players worth 50 million. And these days, 50 million gets you, if it's not a crazy market opportunity, it gets you the average of players. Kai Havertz, that is above 50 million. Ben White, yeah, that's 50 million. You think about the likes of Alexander Zinchenko, we are now getting rid of them. That is what less than 50 million gets you. So Arsenal don't have an unlimited budget. Our budget is big, but it is limited in some way. So, of course, Benjamin Sesko is going to cost about 67.4 million pounds. 67.4 million pounds. And then you have a Viktor Gyokerez, who is going to cost about 60 million pounds. That is 124.7 million pounds. Add that to Martin Zubimendi's cost, which is 51 million. So that is 124 plus 51. That is 175 million. Arsenal have not signed yet a left winger. Arsenal have not signed yet a new goalkeeper. And we have not got any of the defensive options that Mikel Arteta is actually asking for. So when you think about the price, you're like, okay, I can see why it can happen. Now, there is a world where Arsenal can afford these 2 deals. And this is it. We sacrifice the left wing option and we bring in Benjamin Sesko as kind of the wide attacker, the way Arteta was using Aubameyang. And then Lacazette in the middle, your Lacazette would be your Viktor Gyokerez. That is a little bit risky, honestly. It's a little bit risky. But it would allow you to place Sesko and Gyokerez on the same pitch, and it would allow you to sign 2 of the world's best forwards right about now in the same window. But is it worth it? Is it worth it for us not to say, we are not going to sign Rodrigo? There's a market opportunity right there. We're not going to sign Buemo. We're not going to sign Liao. All those are market opportunities. For us not to say, we're not going to sign any of those because we want to sign Sesko and Gyokerez. In my opinion, not really. Go and get one, and we shall count our losses and move on. Now, the other reason as to why this deal can happen is the position of Kai Havertz in Mikel Arteta's plans and Mikel Arteta's heart and mind. I remember saying that for Arsenal to sign Viktor Gyokerez, one of the things that have to happen is if Mikel Arteta forgets about Kai Havertz for a split second, and he thinks about how do I take this team to the next level? How do I win with this team? That is what Luis Enrique has done at PSG. He just forgot about the super team. He forgot about, Messi, Sergio Ramos, but Kylian Mbappe. He just forgot about that. And he went, get me Desire Doué, scored a brace in the UCL final, get me Dembele, Bradley Barcola, and Kvaratskhelia. Kvaratskhelia scored in the final, Dembele was a key player, and Desire Doué scored a brace. And I want to remind you that those are the same players that scored against Arsenal as they were, kicking us out. And they're the same players that impacted the games that kicked out Liverpool out of the UCL. By the way, what a run by PSG. Kicking out Liverpool, Arsenal, and Inter Milan to win the UCL. I just didn't know not to start. They've been a very, very good team. But, of course, Mikel has got to stop thinking about Kai Havertz, right? Because the more he thinks about Kai Havertz, the more he wants to sign players that suit, or the players that would allow Kai to become a much better player. Now, that is not bad. That is not bad. But it might get you sacked. That's the truth. It might get you sacked. And for us to sign Sesko and Gyokerez, it means that Mikel has to agree that Kai Havertz becomes a bench option. That is number one. And number two, he becomes a third option, honestly. Because when all Arsenal forwards are fit, and you have Gyokerez and Sesko, this would be the pecking order. Number one, for me, Gyokerez starts over anybody else. Number two, Gabriel Jesus starts over Benjamin Sesko right now. Number three is Benjamin Sesko, and Kai Havertz would be like option number four. Maybe I'm a little bit harsh on Kai. Maybe it would be option number three. I mean, he's been a consistent goal threat for us across the last season. And then there would be a problem. I don't think that Sesko and Gyokerez want to be bench players. If you sign both of them, you could play a 4-3-3 formation where you have Sesko, Gyokerez, and Saka. I am not. No. I'm not sold onto that. I am not sold onto that. I am not on the same page as people who think that having a Sesko, Martinelli, and Saka would be good. And I'm not going to start thinking that having Sesko, Saka, and Gyokerez would be good enough. Because what we want is to upgrade on the left wing. Is Sesko an upgrade on the left wing? No. So that means that one of them has to be behind the other. Does Gyokerez at 27, after scoring 100 goals and getting his career into his prime, really want to be a bench option to a 21-year-old Sesko? No. Does Benjamin Sesko want to come in at Arsenal from RB Leipzig, where he's an absolute guaranteed starter, and be a bench player to Viktor Gyokerez? Could happen, right? Because, I mean, rotation, but strikers want to play a lot of minutes. So I doubt any of them would want to be a bench player or a bench option to the other. And one of the most important reasons why Arsenal are not going to sign these two guys at the same time is the amount of work we have to do this summer. So we've talked about the price, right? We've talked about how expensive they would be, and maybe you don't have to do it. But there's a lot of work for us to do. A center forward is so crucial. But I have done a video before, I think it was 2 days ago, where we're talking about the list of problems Arsenal have to address this summer, right? And the key points there come from The Athletic, who are saying that Arsenal's conversion is really worrying, but Arsenal's creation of chances is really worrying. So when you look at a team like PSG, they beat Arsenal 3-1 on aggregate. They beat Liverpool, I think was it penalties, right? Yeah, they beat Liverpool in penalties. And then they beat Inter Milan 5-0. You might think that they buried all their chances in these games. Absolutely not. They didn't. So what happens is you're going to create a lot of chances, you're going to bury some, and you're going to miss some as well. So I'll give you an example. You think about one of the craziest players in terms of conversion rate is Mohamed Salah. If I tell you that his percentage, his conversion rate is 31%, you won't believe me. Honestly, you will not believe me. But his conversion rate is 31%. So what I'm trying to say is that Arsenal's problems are far away from having one centre forward come in or two centre forwards come in and the problems are solved. We've got to work on other areas. In order for us to do that, we're going to compromise not to get strikers, but to get one striker and maybe a left winger, a creative number 10 or something else. And finally, I don't think Mikel Arteta has ever been on board with this Gyokerez deal. Like many people want to tell us, Andrea Bata came in and Mikel Arteta was 100% okay with this deal. I think he's always wanted Sesko. That's the truth. I think he's always wanted Sesko. Now, there's a world where Arsenal would have signed Viktor Gyokerez, but for me, I think Mikel Arteta has always wanted Benjamin Sesko, and he's getting his man. So getting both of them would be very good. Like I say, there are so many teams out there in the world that have two good strikers, and it's paying off. I don't think that is Arsenal. I don't even think that is how we play.